Riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. Here's why I hate this album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, Lugosi to my Karloff, co-host extraordinaire, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Real mixed bag this week.
You know what? That sounds better than most weeks, so I'm going to call it a W. Folks, we are wrapping up the Halloween October Spooktacular.
No,
Wait,
sir.
what?
No, sir, Garrett.
What do you mean, no, sir?
No, Garrett, I have done the math. I've done the statistical analysis. There is no reason that October needs to be the spookiest month. No reason at all.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that November and December are just as spooky as October. No. So, here's what I propose, and I will not hear any arguments countering this. Spookvember and Spookcember. Done. We're going to keep the spookiness going, is my point.
Wait. Okay.
Horror for the next 2 months. Only spooky albums.
You have to see why that's not going to work.
I'm going to make it work, Garrett. Here's the thing. I am only going to put spooky balls in that hopper, and if we somehow pick something that's not spooky, gonna make it spooky.
Okay, now this is starting to come together. So you're not saying that we are only going to do spooky-themed songs and albums for the next 2 months. You're saying that you are bet and determined no matter what album or song we pick to make it spooky.
Incorrect. I'm saying I only put spooky songs and albums into the hopper, so those are the only possible ones we can select. However, I know that you are not above cheating, so if you somehow sneak some non-spooky things into that, I will make it spooky enough that it's going to annoy the crap out of you. It's going to be a Spookvember and a Spookcember. Welcome to Spookvember, I guess is what I should say. This is our annual Spookvember celebration.
I don't co-sign this at all. We agreed because we were traveling and we had to shuffle some weeks around that the Spooktoberfest would potentially bleed a little into November.
It's going to bleed into February if you keep on going on with this.
We're going to take it off mics. We're going to take it off mics, Gino. As for this week, Tim, what song have we been listening to for an entire week straight?
Well, Garrett, the first song we are doing as part of our Spookvember celebration, we have been listening to and will be discussing Bela Lugosi's Dead by Bauhaus. Spookvember.
And Tim, after an entire week with this song, I am very curious. Do you hate it?
No. The problem with hating this song is that it's so silly. It's so ridiculous. For some reason, they seem to be taking it seriously, and we will get there. But this is too silly to hate. I will say, kind of hate the title of the song. What about you, friend? Do you hate this song?
Ooh, no. No, this song's adorable.
It is adorable. It's like a tiny little bunny that somebody has dressed up for Halloween. They've got the Dracula fangs in that mouth. It's an adorable bunny dressed for Halloween.
I see. Sure. It's an adorable bunny dressed for Halloween. Goth in general to me makes me laugh for a number of reasons we'll get into, but this song is, I don't want to spoil anything. Given when this song came out, it is so innocent, so pure, so vulnerable, Tim. I can't go lobbing stones at this song. These are sweet boys.
They are sweet boys, but again, they think that they're being very dark. This is if your poetry had been about Satan or sadness instead of wanting to make love to your classmates, for example, as a boy. This is what your poetry would have been. It's so silly.
Oh no, my poetry was much more overt.
I mean, I think this is pretty overt.
Sure, okay, let me change the word. My poetry was much more sexual in nature.
I don't know if you've seen the movie The Horror. Garrett, this is sexual music.
Oh boy, I cannot wait for you to prove that. But before you do, I am curious, Tim, prior to this week, what is your personal experience with Bauhaus and their hit song, Bela Lugosi's Dead?
Very little, actually. I kind of thought myself to be a Bauhausian virgin, or at least a Bela Lugosian virgin. That's not entirely true, though, because I've seen Smallville, as have we all. I watch Good Luck Chuck in secret. Now, I don't really remember this song in any of those things. I've been told it was the intro music for the late 90s Chris Kattan, Molly Shannon Goth Talk SNL sketch. I don't remember any of that. I will say the version I downloaded was from the Good Luck Chuck soundtrack, so every time I looked at my phone instead of some gothy imagery, I just saw Dane Cook and Jessica Alba on a white background, and it was jarring.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was in that movie.
Oh, we're going to watch that movie then. You know what? Here's what we'll do. Next week, instead of doing an album, let's watch Good Luck Chuck. Just talk about that.
I don't want to do that. Oh, you know what? I do want to do that. Here's the problem.
You love...
I love Good Luck Chuck.
What about you, friend? Have these dark, dreary, serious, erotic boys put their dark, dreary, serious, erotic sounds in your ear holes before this week?
Yes, but completely unbeknownst to me.
They snuck it in there.
Yeah, so Bauhaus is something I have never spent any time... God, you're making this weirdly erotic.
Hey, they made it weirdly erotic, Garrett.
I didn't pick up on that at all. Anyway, I had no idea just how many times I had heard this specific song. It's in all sorts of stuff.
It's in Moon Knight. Did you watch Moon Knight?
I did watch Moon Knight. Did you watch Moon Knight?
I watched most of Moon Knight.
You made the right choice. Yeah. Anyway, I saw it in that. There used to be a SNL sketch with...
Yeah, I mentioned that. Goth Talk?
Yeah, Goth Talk. God, Azrael, the Prince of Darkness. Chris Kattan, you're hilarious. So I'd heard it a bunch, didn't know what it was. It honestly is, this might sound weird, very easy to ignore.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just very unassuming. So it's been on in the background for several things I've seen. Some things I've seen very recently and didn't even realize it was playing.
Yeah, you do watch old SNLs, and Good Luck Chuck. Is Good Luck Chuck your Godzilla? Probably not.
No, God. Tim, I'm not even certain I've seen the movie. I'm literally racking my brain as we talk. I think I'm thinking of the one where he is a Costco employee.
No. That's Employee of the Month with Dane Cook and Jessica Simpson, and also Dax Shepard.
And that's not Good Luck Chuck.
It is not. These are two separate movies. You know how you can tell?
Hold on. Can I ask you a question before you belittle me?
Go ahead.
I do not want this to be taken as snark.
Okay.
Are you sure?
I am sure. The way you can tell, different names, different casts, different plots. Really just Dane Cook. He's the only common thing.
Right. I'm not convinced, okay? I'm just...
All right, we'll watch both of them after Godzilla. And you know what? They might bleed together. We'll see. It's going to be a good night.
Okay, seriously, what's Good Luck Chuck about?
When ladies have sex with him, the next person they date or bang, one of the two, is who they will end up marrying. So you see, he is their good luck charm. But here's the problem, Garrett. What about him? What about Dane Cook? He's got to find someone. He just can't go around banging everyone and then they go off and find. I mean, granted, he's got a long list because everyone wants to find their true love, but he's got to find his true love too. Dane Cook's got a new special out.
God damn it.
Sorry, I'm Googling, for the listener, I'm Googling Dane Cook.
For the listener. Yeah, for the first time in a while. What is the movie where he dates people so that other people will look better by comparison? Is that Good Luck Chuck?
I don't know, man. That might be.
You seem to be the Dane Cook expert.
I think you're thinking of a different actor.
I might be. I actually might be.
Listeners, write in. Tell us your Dane Cook movie watching experiences.
Yeah. Is Good Luck Chuck and the other one that Tim said?
No, we've already settled that. Employee of the Month and Good Luck Chuck are two completely separate movies. I don't know why
Nothing has been settled. Nothing has been settled. You are the least reliable narrator.
So the point is that Bauhaus has snuck their eroticisms into your ears before this week.
Yes. More or less, yeah. But it's the first time I've truly absorbed it and really soaked it in, and boy, do I have opinions. But before I can tell you about them, Tim, I am so interested. Hopefully you did the history, the heavy lifting, or at the very least made Gino do it. Take us on a journey. Help us understand, who are these grandpas of goth, and how did Bela Lugosi's dead come to be?
Well, I actually had to ban Gino from the history this week, Garrett, because it involves Nazis. Garrett, the Staatliches Bauhaus was a German art school combining crafts and fine arts that was operational from the very non-specific years of 1919 to 1933 in Weimar, Dessau, and finally Berlin. The school was, of course, closed under pressure from Nazis, actual Nazis as opposed to the current ones. These are, the Hitlery ones, as it was considered a center of communist intellectualism. But this had basically the opposite effect they wanted as the staff spread to other parts of the world and spread their weird German Gesamtkunstwerk kind of all over the place.
I really like your pronunciation on that. Have you been working on your German?
I have. Thank you for noticing. The English rock band Bauhaus from Northampton, England, formed in 1978 and was originally known as Bauhaus 1919 in reference to that first year of Gesamtkunstwerk school operation. Now, the band was formed by Daniel Ash, David J. Haskins, Kevin Haskins, who they'd all played together in cover bands since childhood. They were called originally Jam, then Jack Plug and the Sockets, then The Craze, but all those bands broke up. No one really wanted to be in any of them, and they were terrible.
Yeah, as early bands tend to be.
Right. Ash wanted his friend Peter Murphy to be in the band for no other reason than he had the look they wanted, but he took quite a bit of convincing, actually. He turned the offer down several times before finally accepting, mostly because he had never written lyrics or music, and as far as I can tell, had no previous musical ability, didn't sing, etc. Initially, Ash excluded his friend Haskins, who had been in these previous bands, because he wanted more control over the band, but the bassist he got to replace him sucked. So he relented, Haskins came in, he came up with a name of the band and also suggested they steal the Städtliches Bauhaus's typeface. They would owe Oskar Schlemmer some money had he not died under Nazi rule. Anyway, Bauhaus videotaped themselves performing and sent it out to record labels to get a contract. Problem was, the record companies they sent it to didn't have VCRs, so they couldn't view it.
Wait, what? That happened?
Yeah. So they had to record a demo instead, like a normal band.
Like a musical recording.
Right, like a musical act and not some sort of weird German art collective.
So how in the world has Bauhaus, before even attaining a musical contract to be an artist, already they are setting the standard for the goth scene? Hey, we recorded a demo on this completely obscure piece of technology nobody has yet. Give it a listen.
Right. They may as well be Beck recording songs on the side of a beer bottle.
Or whatever the fuck that was. Yeah. Some sort of pot?
I don't know. So they were only officially a band for 6 weeks when they did their first demo, Bela Lugosi's Dead, a 9-minute single that was released in 1979 on Small Wonder Records. Pete Murphy said about the single, "We didn't want to write an ode to Bela Lugosi, ostensibly. The kitsch element was his name because he was the biggest icon. Yet he was the most unlikely vampire-looking person, so there was the Brit angle to it. But it wasn't all negative, it was perfect. We've been talking about the erotic quality of vampire movies, even if they were the Hammer horror type. There was this conversation about the sexuality and eroticism of Dracula. Danny talked about his fascination with this and the occult connections, so we carried on that conversation and made it into a song. Garrett, Muy Caliente."
Wait, what?
I guess it's a Hard Day's Night kind of cheeky British play on words kind of thing with the Bela Lugosi.
What?
And then also, it was about the raw sexuality that is vampirism.
The song's about vampires?
Yes, the undead.
Okay.
And how sexy they are.
Okay, hold on. Did they say it's sexy or did you say it's sexy?
Well, they were talking about the eroticism. And, the sexuality and eroticism, yeah, I mean, they said it. They said it.
Have you seen Bela Lugosi?
Yes. That's the cheeky British part of it.
It's funny because he's not an attractive man.
Right. The song was
but also it's erotic.
It's very erotic.
I'm just making sure I'm following. He's unattractive, which is a joke, but it's erotic, so you better get hard.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same in the same car. Let's keep moving down the road.
The song was influenced, of course, by reggae and dub and was completed in a single take with a sick Peter Murphy singing for the very first time he had ever sung into a studio microphone. Absolutely no studio labels were interested in it due to the length. They actually repeatedly asked for it to be cut down to 3 minutes, like Inagata Davida. I don't know if you've heard that 3-minute take, but it can be done. Yeah. Small Wonder took a chance on it, I guess. Our buddy John Peel gave it airplay, I think, a single time, saying that he was probably never going to be able to play it again. People liked it. They immediately left Small Wonders Records because they wouldn't give them a big enough touring budget. They signed to 4AD, released a couple more singles, and then released their debut album, In the Flat Field, in 1980. Then they left for AD and moved to the parent label Beggar's Banquet Records, released a few singles, and then their sophomore album Mask in 1981. They shot a promotional video about a ritual resurrection, as you do, where they had to break into a building and they used like car batteries for lighting and power and such. It was a promotional video for the album, but not like a music video. It's very odd.
Yeah, that's very confusing. What blew me away, so I didn't do much research beyond just like, hey, when did this song come out? But I couldn't help but notice. It's their first song.
Yes.
Like,
weirdly,
what did you say? Is it like 6 days after being a band?
6 weeks. But
okay.
Weirdly, some of the other songs, like the description of the songs from that demo session are
super weird.
Yeah, it's like ska.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do that.
It's like they did like 6 songs in 6 different styles, and then they were just like, I guess we're going to go with the goth one. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's so odd. I mean, they picked the right one. I've never heard the Bauhaus ska era.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Peter Murphy, the lead singer, I don't think he has any choice other than to do the vocals and the appearance the way he does it. Which makes me really want this to be up-tempo, happy ska music with him just in the front, like morose and just sort of mumbling into a microphone.
We ain't got no place to go.
Yes.
Let's go to the punk rock show. Darling, take me by the hand. Oh, I like goth. Well, I'm doing more of a Bowie there, sorry, but you get the point.
Right.
I really like MXPX goth.
Absolutely. In 1981, Renee Halkett heard that there was a band called Bauhaus. Bauhaus 1919. Well, I guess his nephew or something told him about it. Now, he's notable because he was in the German Bauhaus thing in the 1920s. And Renee liked the band quite a bit and somehow got in contact with Dave Haskins, who decided to form a solo project with him. So there is a Bauhaus solo project that is one of the guys from the 1920s German Bauhaus art scene reciting presumably bad poetry with Davey doing background music.
Do you have an opinion on the Bauhaus design aesthetic?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, it's real neat.
Unapologetically, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. And I mean, it kind of fits. Like, I understand why they took it, but it's like a dark version of that, like the Rocketeer style.
Right.
Bauhaus fought with their record label over music videos. They released a third LP, The Sky's Gone Out, in 1982. They ended up performing with Nico on some Velvet Underground covers. They had a hit with a cover of Zigant's Stardust. They did Top of the Pops. They appeared in the erotic horror film The Hunger, directed by Tony Scott and featuring Catherine Deneuve, David Bowie, Susan Sarandon, Willem Dafoe, and probably Denzel Washington. I didn't confirm that last one. The band plays Bela Lugosi's Dead over the opening credits. It is not erotic. Next year, Texas Podcast Massacre, the way that Tony cut the film focused a lot on Peter Murphy, who was also doing a bunch of modeling work at the time, and it kind of screwed up some band dynamics there because it really featured him. This was actually weirdly Tony Scott's first film or first feature film, I guess I should say, as a director. His next would, of course, be Top Gun. And then in 1997, Tony would direct the first episode of a sci-fi horror anthology show called The Hunger that also is pretty erotic.
I do not believe that.
Every bit of that's true. Anyway, they recorded Burning on the Inside. It was released in 1983, but Pete conveniently had pneumonia, so basically he didn't do much on it. The other guys sang for him. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
One of the songs is apparently about John Lennon's murder. And then they played their final show ever on my -2nd birthday, exactly 2 years before Tim, and never played together again. The members did some solo work, including the band The Jazz Butcher. They teamed up with Alan Moore, author of Watchmen, V for Vendetta, lots of Batman comics people like, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, etc., who was going by the pseudonym at the time Translucia Baboon. And they formed,
I was going to say, noted crazy person and awful human being.
Right, and they formed a band called the Sinister Ducks.
Great name.
In 1998, Bauhaus reunited for a resurrection tour. They wrote some new songs, one of which was included in that Heavy Metal 2000 film soundtrack. Also, sexy, erotic stuff.
That I can say, for the first time this episode, erotic.
I don't think you've seen the horror.
Yeah, I haven't seen the horror.
Oh,
that could actually be pretty
it's
erotic.
It's erotic, Garrett. It is.
Tony Scott likes to put it on the screen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
They did a live album of that tour. They reunited for 2005's Coachella, where what's-his-face was basically suspended and lowered upside down singing Bela Lugosi's Dead.
Dude, he sang that whole song upside down.
Yeah.
It's not a short song.
It's not, but the singing part of it is considerably shorter than the whole thing.
Sure, but he stays upside down and doesn't look upset about it. You hang me upside down for 9 minutes, I'm dead.
No, you're not. We'll test this later.
I don't want to do that.
In 2008, they released the studio album Go Away White, and they never played together again. The members did various solo work, including Kevin Haskins and his daughter doing a bunch of Bauhaus and other covers. Then in 2019, Bauhaus performed a few reunion shows at the Hollywood Palladium. In 2022, they released a new single, Drink the New Wine, recorded by all 4 original members. And I did not listen to this, but they said they were using something called the Exquisite Corpse Method, where they each recorded their own piece separately without having heard what the others were making. I assume they then changed their parts to fit each other somewhat. It sounds terrible.
It's got to be.
It sounds terrible.
Could you imagine if we took the Exquisite Corpse process to this podcast?
Oh, we should do it. I'll just read my notes. You read your notes, and then we'll mash it together.
I was trying to figure out if it's worse if they are happening at the same time. Probably that, because then you just can't understand either of us. Or if they're staggered, like it's a conversation, but we're not talking about the same thing
I like
at all.
that. Yes. In separate rooms, we'll each record our parts, and then we'll edit space in so that it's a conversation, or so that it's shaped like a
regardless
conversation.
of what the topic is.
Right.
It's just going to be all time signatures.
Yeah.
We'll call it Podcast in the Round.
I like it. They did a few more performances in 2022. I suspect you should be on the lookout for a new Bauhaus album or tour sometime soon. Their claims that they will go away all seem to be lies. La face.
Chat le beef. That was longer than I expected, given how little this was a band.
Fair. But I had to talk about the Alan Moore and that German fella and the eroticism.
Yeah, I mean, there were at least 3 other histories in your history.
Well, there was a lot of eroticism, Garrett. Tony Scott was there. I had to talk. Do you want me to go into the complete history of Tony Scott films?
Yes.
I don't want to. I have it here. You can see my notes. I have written.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do all of them.
Scott.
Why don't you you should hit like the high notes.
Well, the high notes, of course, are all just Denzel Washington comments. Because, I mean, the man made his career.
Did he do John Q?
No.
Didn't make that career. All right. Great history, Tim. Happy to move on. Before we can talk about this song, though, just in case you've never heard it and for some reason you are not near a music listening device, which is confusing because you're listening to us, here, let's get a little taste of this song. Let's cue it up. Play the song, Gina.
Sexy, erotic stuff.
I did not pick up on the eroticism. Now, granted, let's let
Maybe
people
you're
behind
less
the curtain a little bit,
sensitive
Tim.
to eroticism than I am.
Does that make me hornier or less horny?
It makes you less likely to become horny to stimuli which are not traditionally erotic.
Okay, I think I'm okay with that. I'd like to be that, please. You could be the other thing. Gross. I mean, so Bauhaus, Bela Lugosi's Dead. We didn't talk about the title. Let's get into the title.
I hate the title. It's confusing.
Is it a punctuation issue?
Yeah. Does Bela Lugosi own death? Is Bela Lugosi dead? This is the problem. It's like clickbait, right? I feel compelled to listen to find out what the title means.
Best I can do. Here's my defense. They've created a conjunction. Is that what they've done?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. That's what they've done. I'm just saying it could also be possessive.
Well, sure. Absolutely. I was very confused by it. But I'm asking you, as somebody who has never once taught grammar in the public school system, is that allowed?
Yeah.
Rather than saying, hey, Bela Lugosi is dead, is it grammatically appropriate to say Bela Lugosi's dead?
It is, but it's confusing. I mean, because you could say he's dead.
Yeah.
You could say Tim's
It's writing
dead.
a title how somebody would speak.
Right, exactly.
Because no one would ever, well, you would, because you're Johnny Enunciation, but most of us would not say Bela Lugosi is dead. They'd just say, hey, Bela Lugosi's dead.
Right. But when you see it written out, it definitely seems like he might own the concept of death.
Yeah, or possibly have some sort of some sort of horde, some sort of vampire horde that he refers to as his dead.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this song's not about that.
It sure isn't.
It's about some old dead vampire or something. So yeah, we've heard a little clip. Let's get right into it. Okay, let me describe the opening. Opens with some weird rhythmic tapping, maybe some keys or a bass playing sparse notes.
Yes.
They play with the time a little bit. It slows down a bit, it speeds up, and then the guitar kicks in and has a very spooky vibe.
Sure. The bass and drum, I think, give it, or really mostly the bass gives it the spooky vibe. But the problem is the length of time this takes to get going. I mean, this is like the intro to a Widespread Panic song. They just noodle around for like 3 minutes. And it seems like the kind of thing, if this was building to something, right? If this started off slow and it sort of built and there was some sort of dramatic crescendo here, right when they start singing or something, like it might make sense. But that never happens. It's just the same. It's very repetitive and it's just kind of there.
No, you're right. You hit the 2 minute and 50-second mark before anybody starts singing. And rather than it then being like this release, it's more build.
Yeah. Well, no, but that's the thing. It's not really building. It's just kind of
it's just more
plateauing.
subdued. Yeah, it's continued plateau.
Yeah.
Now, what I found very interesting is listening to this, I like this how the guitar slowly evolves into a nice little strum. It sounds good. To your point, takes way too long. You could cut the time in half, be much happier, but I could definitely see a little Tom York listening to this song and getting inspired. Like, there's some serious similarities to the opening of, like, I don't know, half of Radiohead songs.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say that this is a problem with a lot of Radiohead songs. Shots fired.
Shots fired indeed. So, the vocal delivery, when we finally do hit that 250 and we get the big reveal, it's very funny.
It is.
It isn't their fault. I think it's hundreds of parodies making it funny to you and I, that the moment I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's the My Words Are My Sperm guy.
Yeah. And I mean, I do kind of like the vocal effects just in general. I mean, I definitely want to hear the ska reggae songs and the power pop songs they recorded the same day. But this is the real problem with goth, and it's what they should lean into. I don't understand how anyone could possibly take this genre, this sound seriously. Because even if you take away all the history of parody, it would be so hard to listen to this type of music just seriously and not crack a smile. And none of them do. It's amazing because it's simultaneously so silly and also so self-serious.
It's deadly serious.
It's as if this is some sort of goth contest where they all get together and try not to laugh and they're all just fucking winning.
It's a serious off?
Yeah. And here's the thing. You could make a horror movie or a horror concept that's way more terrifying than this Smile, than any of these like kind of conceptual monster things. Just goth people just all smiling. That's upsetting.
Yeah, that is weird. Now, I've always had a special place in my heart for goth people because, I don't know about you, Tim, most of my experience in the goth community came in high school.
Oh, I had absolutely none. But yeah.
Well, let me explain my quote unquote experience. That is to say, any interaction whatsoever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like I don't recall any goth people in college, do you?
Were they not allowed to wear the makeup, or did they just not go? Was it like did they get screened out in an interview process? I don't know. Maybe it was so outside, but like you would think that there would be some like just a goth kid in like a physics class or
somewhere
at a PhD defense somewhere.
Yeah, but no, I don't remember seeing any. And obviously, there's no goth adults who aren't professional goths.
Oh man,
see Chris Angel, Mind Freak.
No, Garrett, we're gonna get to something called elder goths. It's a thing, apparently.
That's all I want to talk about now.
Yeah.
I don't even give a shit about whatever this song's about.
Let's wait till the YouTube comments, friends.
God, elder goths. So anyway, my point is, I've always had a soft spot for the goth community because, and I think we've talked about this before, no matter how perfect your makeup is and how into Bauhaus you are and you're on point, you still have to exist in our world. So that means like going to gym class, getting in your Geo Metro, and working at your job at Smoothie King, all with the black nail polish and the makeup and, oh, I'm terribly dark and mysterious. Well, yes and no. Extra berries, please.
Yeah, and again, this is nothing against goth people. I find them delightful. I would like to be friends with you. But what do they eat?
I'm just trying to picture what a goth person eats. I'm thinking rice.
Oh, I thought you said ice.
Oh, that makes more sense.
No, I mean, but like they gotta have a salad sometimes. Like they don't have scurvy, so I know they're getting their citrus fruit, right?
That's true. Yeah, but what's less goth than having some orange slices?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking goth 11-year-old eating orange slices at halftime at his soccer game.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And it's fine. It's fine. Listen, I'm a silly person. I don't mind. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be. I mean, granted, their whole thing is built around not being silly, but that's what makes them so silly, and it's adorable.
Right. Absolutely. We support you, goth community. Reach out, hatepodmail@gmail.com. Reach out to me. I want to be your friend. G Harvey Tweets on Twitter.
I would love to be your friend, but you have to find me organically.
Yeah, Tim doesn't like to force it.
Yeah.
And that's smart. I, on the other hand, all about volume.
I was hoping you were going to say all about forcing it.
Yeah, well.
I like to force it.
Nope, didn't say that. You said that. Cut it, double it, and remix it. Tim likes to force it. Okay, I think it's about time we talk about some of these lyrics. What do you say?
Sure, and there's not many of them, so it shouldn't take too long.
No, it shouldn't. I'll kick us off. White on white, translucent black capes. Back on the rack. Bela Lugosi's dead. The bats have left the bell tower. The victims have been bled. Red velvet lines the black box. Bela Lugosi's dead. And let's pause there. Let's take it in. The first part of that, what is it called? The first verse seems to be just describing putting Bela Lugosi's old vampire costume back on the rack because he's dead.
Sure. It's also a little erotic, though.
Why?
I mean, there's the red velvet, the victims. I think these guys think this is erotic. Oh, I'm aware, Garrett. I'm aware. These are goth people.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
They're super horny for death-related things.
Yes. So I don't know why it took me so long to catch up here. Yes, they are super horny for death-related, for gloomy, dark things. Okay.
Imagine, so this is something just for maybe the two of us. Like, do I assume goth people have sex with other goth people, right?
Almost exclusively, I assume.
What is that like?
Sad.
Oh, I would assume it's silly.
Well, sure, it's that too.
So they assume it's very attempting to maintain the morose face, only red velvet lining. Is your naked body allowed to be on?
I
assume you keep a cape on.
Blank-faced people having very mediocre missionary sex, and it's one of the funniest things I've thought about in a while with the eye makeup and everything. What a mess. You better hope it's this morose, boring event. Imagine if they're real Hellcats, Tim. There's going to be makeup and nail polish everywhere. Although they could be sort of like a Billy Bob Thornton thing. Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie at one point were almost adult goths.
They were close to elder goths. You're right. I think that the Machine Gun Kelly fella and what's her face? Megan Fox might be elder goths.
I'm not familiar with this term, so I'm going to continue to use the word adult goth. Either educate me or I will remain ignorant. So, getting back to the second verse, the bats have left the bell tower. I was assuming that just meant he is now dead. It's a metaphor for passing into the next world. I'm now, based on what you're saying, thinking it might be a euphemism for
orgasm.
Well, I don't want to be gross. Jizz.
Orgasm.
Well, the bats, Tim, they're the sperms.
No, I think it's like
the victims have been bled.
Yeah, these are
orgasm.
Sure.
Okay, so the bats have left the bell tower. The victims have been bled. Red velvet lines the black box. Bela Lugosi's dead.
Maybe that's how
they had sex in a coffin.
Right, of course they did.
Bela Lugosi's dead is code for fucking in a coffin.
Or it's code for just goth
getting
sex.
Your rocks off. Goth sex. Yeah, got a little bit of the old in and out. No, got a little bit of the old Bela Lugosi's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean just exclusively goths? Or, two questions. One, if one of the parties is a goth, is it still a Bela Lugosi's dead? Or maybe Bela Lugosi's injured?
He's
been in a serious car accident?
So in your head, goth people have sex with a non-goth.
No, I'm putting
fascinating.
I'm putting forward theories, Tim.
But just the fact that you could even conceive of that, because
it's not like a cat and a dog fucking. They're still the same species.
No. I understand. So you're picturing it's spring break and one of these goth folks has the misfortune of being goth in, let's say, Florida. And it's spring break and you've got like super drunk frat guy he's in a bar and maybe the bar's next to a graveyard. Okay. And it's like
Quite a scene you're painting.
98 degrees outside. It's that sort of Florida humidity where it's turned night, but like that just, it feels like the night has just pressed all that humidity down on you. And so he's real sweaty. He's real drunk and he stumbles out of the bar. He's got to go piss. Now, where are you going to go piss?
That cemetery, of course.
Cemetery, right. So he stumbles upon a young goth lady and their eyes meet and it's instant love, right? They're gonna bang.
It's your story.
Right. So, I mean, I assume she lives around there. Maybe they're probably not going to bang for the first time in a cemetery, but I'm just picturing drunk frat guy making love or, whatever.
The sex
with this young goth lady. And it is shocking. He keeps the hat on backward, right? And she keeps the cape on.
I can fix this. I understand why you had such a dramatic reaction.
He's like super tan. She's never seen the sun.
Right. But you and I aren't picturing the same thing.
You're picturing a goth guy who's hooking up with like really sexy lady.
Yes. Goth guy, sexy lady.
Well, that's worse.
Doesn't that make more sense?
It doesn't. It makes less sense.
Okay, you gave your scenario. Here's mine. Sexy lady goes out with the gals. They hit the bars. I don't know about spring break. Let's just say it's the weekend. That way we can age everybody up appropriately. They go out on the weekend, maybe they're at a piano bar, and there's a goth. And now, Tim, here's the very interesting thing about the goth community. These are emotional and creative people. They are often artists. So it would not be uncommon for, let's just say, the piano player there to be a goth. But as we've mentioned, goth's got to pay bills. Goth has to pay for the gas. Got to keep that electricity on. So maybe they get chatting up afterwards. She's impressed with his musical prowess, and he's still a man, Tim. Does a goth man have the ability to deny a very attractive normie, we'll say? I say no. I think other way around, almost impossible that a goth girl falls for your supposed frat boy. But can a goth man say no to a non-goth, a normie?
Here's the thing. I think this is the way Hollywood makes this movie. They do the 10 things I hate about you kind of thing, where it's just, oh, you'd be so pretty if you just lost the glasses and let your hair down kind of thing. But it's, goth.
I was picturing more of a Grease situation. Everybody in the school is a goth. And then Sandra Dee comes over from Australia and she's like, "Oh, Deanie, why's everybody got face makeup on?" And then at the end, she, of course, "Tell me about it, stud." She's got the goth makeup and the white face. And the Jinkos.
Do they fly away in a coffin or in a hearse at the end?
It's that Munsters mobile.
Ooh, I like that.
Or possibly a Dragula? The Dragula. Yeah.
All right. Undead, 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 undead.
That is the next line. Now, to their credit, at this point, the guitar changes to that like bricka, 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 and I really love it. I think the music is weirdly good. It's just way too long a song, and it doesn't really say anything.
Yeah, the music is good. It's just 2 minutes worth of music played 4.5 times.
Well said. When he says undead, 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 are we to believe this is a fake funeral or a real funeral for the man Bela Lugosi? Or perhaps it's a fake funeral for Bela Lugosi, the man, so that he can live his true life as Bela Lugosi, the undead vampire? I feel like this song conflates the man and the myth.
Well, sure. These are boys that have watched some movies. They have been sexually entranced by the movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I think it's a little wishful thinking.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that, but let's move on. The next verse is literally what I called, quote, the roughest vocals in the entire song, and it takes me out of the whole thing. The virginal brides file past his tomb, strewn with time's dead flowers, bereft in deathly bloom, alone in a darkened room, the Count. Any thoughts on that, Timmy?
I mean, I assume that it is just some sort of weird psychosexual fantasy in which he wants to have some sort of weird sexual ceremony at Bela Lugosi's grave. Really, to Bela Lugosi's dead, where Bela Lugosi is in fact dead, if you will.
Okay, that makes more sense because one, I was like, why are there brides there? And why are they virginal? But if they're virginal brides, he wants to hold some sort of ceremony at the...
Well, from my understanding, all brides are in fact virgins, right?
No. Oh, man. We gotta talk later. Okay, so anyway, I guess we're at the funeral of 73-year-old former actor Bela Lugosi, and there's some sort of weird vampire procession of virginal brides filing past his tomb, strewn with time's dead flowers.
I mean, in all honesty, what this is they came up with a bunch of dark imagery, and they said all of it.
I mean, as I understand it, they wrote it on the spot in roughly one long-ass take. And they were like, all right, I think we got it. That's what we are, goth.
Well, after doing some power pop and some ska/reggae.
Well, you gotta warm up. The song continues, Bela Lugosi's dead, Bela Lugosi's dead, Bela Lugosi's dead. Undead, 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 undead. And at around the 4-minute and 50-second mark, believe it or not, folks, we're only halfway there, we take a break in the vocals for quite the musical interlude. And I don't hate it, Tim. Could be a touch shorter and a little more focused, but it's not bad.
Do you know there is a version from The Horror that's about 6.5 minutes long?
I did. I heard about that, didn't listen to it, can't be tainted.
I did. It's still, you'll be happy to note, I think it's actually longer before they start singing.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think it's a full 3 minutes in that version.
What a weird compromise. Yes, we will do a shorter version, but we will sing later and less. Then the vocals come back at about 6:20, a solid minute and a half after the interlude began, and he sort of moans, "Oh, Bela."
Right, now how do you not see this as an erotic, sexy song?
I do. Well, okay, let me rephrase. I still don't, but I now understand why they do.
Okay.
Well, I don't understand why, but I understand that they do.
Sure.
My question is, do you?
I completely understand where they're coming from. I am not aroused by it.
Glad to hear it, friend. Bella's undead. Oh, Bela. Bella's undead. Bella's undead. Oh, Bela. Bella's undead. Oh, Bela. And then at about 7:17, we sort of return to the weird rhythmic tapping and ambient guitar noise that we began with. And that means there's still 2 minutes and 18 seconds with only one more word said in the entire time, and that is undead.
Yeah, it kind of has a little bit of a Velvet Underground in theory kind of thing to it. You know what I mean? Just it's going to be like weirdly droning. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And it's also, it feels experimental. Like there's a chance we don't know where the time change might happen and somebody will just make the move and it'll go. The problem is, I love a good drony song. This just doesn't do it. It's too sparse.
Yeah.
Also, there's no build. It's all plateau. It's a prairie. A plateau implies there was an up at some point.
That's true. Well, maybe the ska/reggae was the up in the studio.
We can only speak to what we've heard. If anything, we're possibly a couple feet below sea level. We're in New Orleans, Tim.
New Orleans is pretty spooky.
More mellow. Dynamite contribution.
And sexy.
That brings us to the music video. God damn you. That brings us to the music video, of which there is not one. Thank God.
Right. I did, in fact, watch their performance at the beginning of The Hunger.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sexy.
I watched the upside down version, and I didn't fast forward. The entire time I was like, surely he's going to flip back over. Nope.
And here's the thing about being a goth. You got all that white makeup. No one can tell if there's a bunch of blood rushing to your head.
No one can tell you're dying.
Yeah, you already look kind of dying.
Right. Tim, that means I get to ask this question. How did it do?
No idea, but it has had a lot of staying power. It appears to be their most popular song. I think Good Luck Chuck did pretty well, so they probably got a bunch of money from that. Good for them. Good for them. Got some of Dane Cook's money.
A lot of people got some. Well, just the one guy got a lot of Dane Cook's money.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dane. You don't deserve that.
Funny, though.
Very. I'm sad to hear that we don't have exact statistics because I was shocked at the staying power. This thing has just been around for ages.
Oh, yeah.
But suffice it to say, it's their signature song. That's how it did. I'm curious, what did people think of it?
Well, there are 33 total ratings. 5 out of 5 stars on average is what Amazon claims, although it's 95% 5-star, 5% 4-star, 0% anything else, which does not add up to 5 out of 5 stars. I've checked. Anyway, none of them are particularly interesting, so I went to YouTube.
Oh, no.
Pure Magic says 13 years ago, all I can say is that if vampires do exist, they listen to Bauhaus. Who knows? The boys in Bauhaus might be familiars. Very important song in the history of modern music. It's amazing.
Now, Tim, what's your take on joining the vampire community? If it was possible, would you consider it?
Oh, absolutely not, Garrett. They are our sworn enemies. Cowboys. They're the Cowboys' sworn enemies.
I feel like you're just adding stuff at this point.
I feel like you don't understand the concept of improv, but yeah, sure.
I'm not there with you. I think that if vampires were real and I could be assured that I would gain access to the community, I might be, God, I really hate taking orders from people, but I might be willing to be a familiar for 6 months.
I would stab you through the heart with a stake.
I don't believe you.
I would. Absolutely, I would, Garrett. I am such a good friend to you. I will save you from the terrors of being undead. I will put nice shoes on your feet while you sleep during the day, and I will stab the shit out of you.
I think you're all talk. We'll see.
All right.
I think you're all talk.
Garrett, if you wake up and I'm putting nice shoes on your feet, you better run, because I suspect you're a vampire.
I'm not a vampire.
You might be, though. I know for a fact you would try to be if you could.
That's very different than being one.
Willow Nightingale, 10 years ago. The first time I heard this song was at a goth night at some pub, which was so bizarre. There were so many elder goths dancing and not smiling. Then there was me and my friend dancing like kids with big grins on our faces. Probably the most surreal moments of my life.
What? What is an elder goth? Like an elder statesman?
They're goths that have survived the initial purge.
Sure, but wait, what? I did not expect that sentence to end with the word purge. I thought you were going to say like the initial wave of being a goth. So at what age do you cross over to elder goth?
I think 19.
Wow.
Yeah, because again, no goths in college.
Sure, but I would call that an adult goth.
Right, which is an elder goth.
Yeah, I guess I can't disagree with that.
Anna Marie Crawford, 14 years ago. This brings back so many memories of that movie. It was my first R movie my folks let me see, and it was only because I still am, a huge David Bowie fan. The movie sparked my love of vampires, but unfortunately, most newer vampire movies aren't that good. Even if the movies today suck, at least today there are many, many great books and book series out there about vampires/immortals. That is a lady who is horny for vampires.
She's so horny for vampires. I might be a little horny for them.
Yeah, it's definitely possible to be horny by association, we'll say.
By proxy? Horny by HBP?
Yeah.
BPH or enlarged prostate. What's your favorite vampire or vampire-themed book? I know the answer, do you?
I assume you're going to say it is The Passage.
That is what I would say. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I agree. It's delightful.
Listeners, if you haven't read The Passage and you like horror novels, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
HBO executives, if you're listening,
yeah,
buy the series from Fox, destroy everything they attempted to make on it, and do like a long-form Game of Thrones budgeted series. It would be great.
Yeah, and in fact, make Tim and I the showrunners, and for 1/100th of the cost of what you typically pay people, we will break down those books into 4 tight seasons.
Well, we will break down each book into 4 tight seasons. It's so long.
They're so long, but I think we could do it because there's a lot of time before she's ever even before Amy she's on the run with the cops for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can't get into that.
Anyway,
we're not breaking story for The Passage yet. HBO Max, call us. I know they've been firing the shit out of people there. You're gonna run out of content.
I love Evgeny, 13 years ago. I simply adore this tune. It's so sinister and cool at the same time. I've watched this movie for 5 times just to get enough of David Bowie. By the way, I'm not gay, but he's a goddamn genius. What else can I say? Golof Evgeny. Write in. Did you turn out to be gay? It's okay if you did. We
don't mind.
No.
We just suspect you are now.
Yes.
And if you haven't figured it out, we don't mind telling you.
Yeah, definitely gay. Brian C. 9896, 11 years ago. This video sums up what the 80s were like for me as a teenager. Dark, confusing, a yearning for sex, lifeless with a dim hope that all this shit might somehow get better.
So that kid probably went to the movies and saw like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
Just gothing around with pastels and a corpse. Well, he probably loved that. Yeah, the corpse there.
Yeah, but they were wearing like Hawaiian shirts, right?
Yeah, and you got that irritating Andrew McCarthy constantly
really
saying, "Rich."
Here's what we could do. Goth beachwear, right? We make surf shorts.
I love this.
Board shorts. We make Hawaiian shirts. We make bikinis and whatnot. I'll let you handle that part of it. Yeah, every bit of it black and gray, and there's skulls and there's dying roses on it.
I think we just made $1 million. Now, I am curious. When I picture, let's call it the cut of a man's goth bathing suit, it does vaguely resemble that of a 1920s full body suit.
Well, so here's the thing. You make every bit of it. You make the old Brazilian cut all the way through that Jersey guy working out on the beach in 1927.
So every style, but you keep it goth.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Listeners, write in, send us your sketches for goth beachwear, excuse me. Burkini, look out.
Yeah.
What's a goth sounding thong name?
The Raven.
Is that for holding in that bird?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you're drawing these, don't skip on the bulge.
I was picturing women. God, great reviews, Tim. That brings us to final thoughts. What have we not said about this? I feel like we may have not given Bauhaus enough praise up top.
Sure, they're a fine band. I've never heard any of their other music. I'd love to hear them sing this style over ska. I mean, I'm sure the rest of it's fine. No one else seems to care, so we didn't bother either.
Yeah, it's a perfectly fine band. It's marred by years of parody.
I think enhanced by years of parody. I enjoyed this
for
more.
you and I.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they probably aren't fans.
Yeah, I can't imagine. All right, well, that brings us all the way around, Tim, to where we began. We've been all the way through it, talked about every single word. Do you hate this song?
No, it's pretty silly, mostly because it's trying not to be. But, I mean, that makes me like it more. What about you, friend? Do you hate this song?
No, I think it's adorable. I'm inclined to listen to other Bauhaus just out of vague curiosity. It's inoffensive. I may explore. Listeners, write in. G Harvey Tweets on Twitter, or album HatePod on Twitter, or HatePodMail, I guess, at gmail.com. What Bauhaus should I be listening to? All right, that takes us all the way through it, Tim, which brings us to the next segment of the show, Listener Mail. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
Well, of course, I'd like to go first.
I really hope you don't have mine.
This first one is from Bill earlier in the spooky Spooktoberfest. Sorry we didn't get to you until Spookvember. He says, Dearest Misters Harvey and Weinstein. God damn it, Bill. This is not a strong start. Dearest Misters Harvey and Weinstein. First off, congrats on the pod. I tried to do a music podcast once, but quit after 3 episodes because I just couldn't keep up with the schedule. So I'm impressed with your ability to maintain both quality and quantity after all this time. I'm assuming he wrote that before we took several weeks off. Second, I have a question regarding the repeated warnings to listeners/viewers about what not to Google. While I wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment to not Google Mr. Hands, I'm somewhat befuddled by your seemingly equal fear of shaved bears. If we're speaking about a literal hairless bear, I've seen them before, both in photos and in person. And while it can definitely be a surprising image the first time, I don't see it as particularly traumatizing. Definitely not on the level of Mr. Hands. If, however, shaved bears, quote-unquote, is code for a sex thing, then I'm with you. I don't want to know. Lastly, I'd love to hear an episode on a Beck album, or if you're feeling masochistic, an episode on the notorious country rapist Colt Ford, who bears a striking resemblance to Grimace from McDonald's.
That's not a thing a person can look like.
Also, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the Baz Luhrmann Elvis film. I'm interested actually in seeing that as well. May the Lord Jesus Christ be with you, Bill.
All right, lots to address there. Next time we should stop midway. I've already forgotten half of it.
Mr. Hands.
What was he talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's get to that. First, how have you seen Shaved Bears live? I want to know the answer.
Here's my belief. I think this is the guy that shaves bears.
Oh my God. That would be the kind of person that would listen to our show.
Fucking bear
Just
shavers.
imagine, just you and I jacking it up about System of a Down while this guy's drugging and shaving bears.
Well, honestly, so
creep.
you frequently put shaved bears in the episode notes. So it might have he might have found it by typing in shaved bears and just seeing what came up in our podcast.
It's got a real James Gum situation. I'm picturing a well with a poor drunk bear. See if anybody else likes to shave bears. Okay, so we should also address this. We're not putting them necessarily on equal footing. We're just saying if you're not Googling things, first and foremost, of course, don't Google Mr. Hands. That's top of the list. But also, while you're not Googling Mr. Hands, also don't Google shaved bears. It's off-putting. It's sad.
It's terrifying. It is not as terrifying as what Mr. Hands is. Google Mr. Hands to find out. But we
don't Google Mr. Hands.
Don't Google Mr. Hands. My point is, it's terrifying.
Yes.
The bears.
Right. Why are they so wrinkly? What's wrong with their faces? There's not that much hair on their face to begin with for it to be that
apparently
jarring
there's a lot of hair on their face, Garrett.
Oh, well, maybe I don't know bears.
No, if there's anything you do know, it's bears and berries.
Yeah, I do know bears and berries. God. Oh, I need to remember to pack my bear mace. I'm going to the woods soon.
Yeah, you are. You sure are. I went to the woods recently.
Yeah, you did. You did not invite me.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I had to hide in a tree from some older boys. They came by and startled me.
I don't want to know about that. I'm upset.
Anyway, Garrett, I have a song to play, but before I do that, I would love to hear your email.
All right, well, hold on. This thing's all over the map. This might be one of our worst episodes.
Stop saying that.
Well, stop being that. First of all, you got the bears. You got the Mr. Hands. The suggestions. What were the suggestions?
The suggestion was Beck.
Ooh.
Which I would like to hear a Beck album suggestion, because if you're suggesting Mutations versus if you're suggesting that most recent one, very different Becks. Anyway, or possibly notorious country rappist Colt Ford, who bears a striking resemblance to Grimace from McDonald's, and also the Elvis film.
The Elvis film. That's the other one I wanted to talk about. That's an excellent idea, because that movie looks like shit.
But does it look like a shitty movie where he does a good job in it?
I don't know.
We'll find out, I guess.
You know who doesn't look like he's doing a good job? It's T. Hanks. I love that man.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job with his face.
Yep, that's the correct word. Okay, you also have a song. Can we play the song like at the end?
No. Well, here's what we can do. We can play a taste of it, and then it can be the outro song.
Perfect. All right. So my listener mail is from Dustin. Dustin's email is titled Workplace Negligence. Great title. Dustin writes, Dear Tim and Gare Bear, hello. I am a long-time listener and first-time mailer. While some people listen to your podcast while performing their mindless desk jobs, I tend to listen while my job is at stake. Being a career engineer, I'm supposed to take machinery rounds while using all the senses. Yes, even taste.
We should bleep his name, probably.
Yeah, probably.
If we forgot to and you got fired, sorry.
We didn't use a last name. Could be anybody. I also don't know what the sentence, I'm supposed to take machinery rounds while using all of my senses. What's a machinery round?
I don't know. We're not engineers.
True. Okie dokie. What I can gather, Tim, is that it's dangerous. I don't know what a machinery round is, but it seems like something you should be paying close attention to and not listening to you and I.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dustin continues, I've decided to practice some reckless abandon and listen to your podcast while taking my rounds. Weird sentence. If this drowns out the sounds of machinery going completely to shit around me, then so be it. I will smile happily while listening to the angelic whispers of fucked me, while twists of gnarled machinery swirl around me. If that means hearing the sultry musings of Gold Cobra while my flesh is burned by molten oils and fire, it will be a life well lived. Love the show. Maybe take a look at Money Suicide songs. I've always wanted to hear a cowboy stance on the fact that this man had a cocaine Christmas and an alcoholic's New Year. I don't know what that sentence means either. Cheers. Also, please check out Techno Electric Callboy. Holy hell, is it terrible. What an amazing email.
Here's the thing. We don't have to do any of these suggestions because this guy has likely been set on fire already.
Yeah, he has already died or had a life-altering injury that likely left him without sight, sound.
Really, we don't need him to be able to see. We just need him to be able to listen.
That's true. Well, that's true. That's true. Don't forget to download. But subscribe now before you lose your thumbs.
It is important.
What a great email. That should be the standard bearer, folks. If you're looking to write in, and I know you are, heypodmail@gmail.com, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Take a note from Dustin here. That's how you do it. Also, Gold Cobra.
Yeah.
I need a shirt that says Gold Cobra so people know who I am.
I thought I was the Gold Cobra.
Absolutely not.
I'm pretty
what
sure
is wrong
I was
with
the
you?
Gold Cobra.
You know, I know what you're doing right now. You know how I know that you're not the Gold Cobra?
How's that?
Because that is a nickname that I got at a former workplace location that you were definitely not at.
No, that's Fred Durst's album's name.
No, that's Hot Dog Water and the Stinky Butthole Machine.
No, that's where Gold Cobra came from, you fucking liar. Don't pretend like people at work named you Gold Cobra.
Oh, they did.
No, they didn't. Garrett, we also have a new song submission from ASIC, maybe Nathan, it's unclear. If you hate songs about us that reference candlestick makers and daddies and dandies and vampires and cowboys and strangling, fast forward through this. It's fun.
Well, this is just a taste.
Oh yeah, this is just a taste. We'll play it at the end. So if you like what you hear, listen through to the end.
It's the W-I-H-T-A with Wet Dukes and Dr. Gary Gribbs, the Tinsel Man, autistic vampires, and cowboys and candlestick makers, from scattered daddies lighting up the dandies, water whipping with the boys and Gino in the back, chilling with West
Wasn't that delightful?
Disturbing. Thanks, Nathan. Weird emails, Tim. That brings us to music news of the weird. Should I go first or would you like to?
Oh, you can go first, friend.
Well, Tim, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we've had to shuffle things around a little bit. You've been on the road, I've been on the road, you've been in the woods, I'm going to the woods. So we've had to bank a few episodes and swirl things around. So this story is difficult, but allow me to try to take a swing at what might be happening in the future. In Kanye West news this week, we fucking called it. We warned you this guy was not a genius. He was in fact very unstable and should not be given excessive praise no matter how good those first 5.5 albums were. So, as I said, we bank episodes. It's super hard for me to predict what exactly will have happened by the time this comes out. But let's just say, assuming things continue at the trajectory they are, in Kanye West news, Kanye has kidnapped a princess, taken her to a castle, and is awaiting 2 plumbers that he expects to come rescue her any day now. But first, they will fight his army of turtles and mushroom men.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tim, what music news do you have?
Well, Garrett, in J-Devil news, the J-Devil himself, Jonathan Davis of Korn fame, has officially launched a brand of pet accessories called Freak on a Leash. Quoting
Genius.
here, "These premium products are created for all, paying homage to the horror and rock music we love. This first collection, designed exclusively by me, J-Devil, not Tim, contains all custom products made with a high-quality gunmetal hardware, leather, nylon, and plushies that will set your pet apart from the pack. I urge everyone, go to freakonaleash.com, take a look at the spooky leashes and collars you can get your little buddy, get him something nice."
I wasn't sure if that was you or him.
Oh, no, that's me.
That's him.
That's the last bit. The buddy part is me.
Oh, see, that's what made me think it was still him. Little buddy.
Oh, yeah.
You would never call Yogi your little buddy, but he probably wasn't shopping at Freak on a Leash either.
No, Garrett, I'm not buying
That's a
this.
great idea, though.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's pretty much exactly what you and I just came up with for goth beachwear.
Yeah, but ours is better.
Oh, it's way better. His name's better.
Well, we haven't come up with an official name yet.
Ooh,
I
what
like-
if it's Beach House?
No.
Beachhaus. Beach House wear.
You know what? Back in.
Yeah, that was pretty solid. Copyright, registered, trademark, I don't know, whatever legal thing I have to say that you fuckers can't steal that.
You know what?
We're gonna
Okay,
get
so
you some
what?
goth
Okay, how
wear.
about this? We call all of this stuff, we call all of the clothing in the original German. So we have a Gesamtkunstwerk. That is,
Oh,
of course,
Back out. I am uncomfortable.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Tim, market research has shown that German both concerns and scares the average American consumer.
Yes.
Oh, that's what you were going for?
Yes,
Okay.
Garrett.
It is Beach House, Haus, so I might be off base. You might be dead on.
Garrett, what other Kanye West news do you have for the day?
No, gonna move on. My next music news of the weird is about friend of the show, Miss Pirate Eilish. Earlier this month, Billy and Jesse Rutherford, lead singer of the band Neighborhood, were spotted very publicly making out outside of a popular restaurant in LA. Instantly, people felt it necessary to point out that there was a bit of an age gap, Billy being 20 and Jesse 31. Not that it's anyone's business, she is in fact an adult and literally nobody needs to worry about Billie Eilish, unless maybe, I don't know, Drake's around. She's fine. However, there has been a non-stop online discussion since the photos surfaced, and rather than just ignore the opinions of strangers, the pair decided to poke a little fun at the situation for Halloween. Did you see this, Tim?
I did not.
Well, in really bad ideas that you definitely should have run by anybody, Billy dressed as a baby and her boyfriend dressed as an old man attending several parties in public, sending a very confusing message.
Now,
Gross.
that's not sexy.
Correct. It was very unsexy in both directions. Old men and babies, conclusively not sexy.
Yes, and we say this knowing that Garrett is just on the cusp of old manness.
I am not.
You are well over middle-aged.
No, that's not true. Oh
It
my
is.
God. Okay.
Okay, let me rephrase. You have lived far more than half the years you're gonna live. Like
I don't
way
know about
more.
Far. And also, it won't be of natural causes, so that's not fair. Tim, what other news do you have?
Well, Garrett, in floppy, sweaty lunch meat news, Edward Sheeran, a guy who did not attend uni, has been very busy lately. He bought Lewis Capaldi, Scottish singer-songwriter that bears a striking resemblance to Mr. Sheeran, a life-size dinosaur as a housewarming present. But, not content with that, he recently bought Sam Shepard a 6'2", 4,000-pound marble penis, which Sam Smith named the Duke of Hastings. Now, Discussing this on some sort of talk show, Sam Smith let it slip that Eddard had previously purchased one of these gigantic dongs for Elton John, and it's unclear to me if there is some sort of dick store that I don't know about, or if he's having these commissions. I don't...
Yeah, both are weird.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a good question. Let's assume the more likely scenario. They're commissioned. These are ad hoc dicks. After 2, do you consider opening a store?
I was going to ask her, do you get a discount?
Oh, well, sure. I'm sure if he's buying in bulk, he absolutely does. If a giant granite penis cannot be cheap.
Sure, even if you got Eddard Sheeran money.
I can't help but notice it sounds like you're dropping the W.
Yes, I am.
Is there a reason?
I think it's a more British name.
Oh, that's how you pronounce it in Britain.
Yes. Not content with that, Eddard also joined Elton John to do a duet of Candle in the Wind at 81-year-old billionaire Robert Kraft's wedding to Dr. Dana Bloomberg. Now, I looked through the photos from this event, Garrett.
Grim.
Weirdly, our very own missing intern, Tom B. Rady, was present in many of the photos. And I'm going to say this. The fucking day he returns to our studios, February 13th, 2023, he owes us an answer on how he got that invite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What kills me is the +1. I know he's on the rocks with the lady. You could have brought one of us. And the obvious choice being me, of course, since he fucking hates you.
Because of the incident with Tom Brady.
Right. Apparently
What?
those two. Well, no, I don't know why he hates you, Tim. We don't talk about you when it's just us.
I assume you only talk about me. Garrett, what other floppy, sweaty lunch meat news do you have?
Well, Tim, in other music news-ish, I did a little research, since this will definitely be the last spooky episode of the year, despite what Tim says. I did a little research about Mrs. Voorhees. If I may, we all know the fairly famous Friday the 13th music, right? The shh, 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 shh. Familiar?
Think that's Nightmare on Elm Street, but yes.
No. Well, I always thought it was shh, shh, shh. It turns out it's key, 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 ma, ma, ma. Let me explain. So, in the movie, Mrs. Voorhees, the killer of the original Friday the 13th, spoiler alert, does not show up until the final reel of the film. The composer, Manfredini, had the job of creating a score that would represent the killer in her absence. So since you're never seeing her, much like Jaws, Manfredi was inspired by the 1975 film Jaws, where the shark is not seen for the majority of the film because it was a giant bust and they couldn't film underwater. So instead, John Williams created that awesome cue. So he was trying to do the same thing for the killer, and while listening to a piece of some crazy Russian music, which contained a chorus with people literally just saying things sharply, the composer went into the film and grabbed a soundbite of one of the characters saying, "Kill her, mommy." He samples the key from kill and the ma from mommy and actually creates the trademark. It doesn't really sound the same for me because he runs it through a bunch of synths and stuff. But what made me laugh the most about all this is he is constantly confused and furious when people come up to him and they're like, "I love that song. Cha, 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 cha." And he's just like, "Cha, cha, cha. What's wrong with your ears?"
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of an interesting piece of spooktacular trivia. And then ending with the people constantly come up to me and they're like, "I love the cha, 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 cha." And he's like, "Cha? No, not cha. Key." You'd be flattered, but also kind of want to hit him.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Timmy, any other music news of the weird for you this week?
Well, in very similar news this week, Serge Tankian of System of a Down, I think. Well, he's got some problems with fans coming up and saying stuff to him as well. He is asking the public to please stop sneaking up on him and shouting, "Wake up" at the top of your lungs in public. People apparently really like to stand right behind him and just scream the lyric from Chop Suey at him in public, and it scares him. Please stop.
God, that's funny. I thought he was going to say, "Stop coming up to me and denying the Armenian genocide."
But, I mean, listen, you weren't there.
Oh my God. Anyway, Tim, that brings us to our final segment of the episode. My favorite part, not just because it's over. What album are we going to be listening to for an entire week before we come back here and talk about it together again?
Well, Garrett, the spooktacular ball hopper has spoken. We are continuing the Spookvember celebration with a spooky album that I think Garnk and I both really enjoy, or at least did, we'll see. 1994's The Toadies' Rubberneck.
This, folks, kicks off what I hope will be a semi-regular Kill Your Darlings feature. I love this album unapologetically and do not know if I will be able to objectively evaluate it.
Absolutely. This is a album written by a personal friend or at least acquaintance of Garrett Harvey. It is possibly about a serial killer stalking the Fort Worth general area and the exact time that a young Garrett Harvey was stalking.
I'm starting to realize this is a huge mistake.
The Fort Worth general area and unable to account for his whereabouts for hours of time back in the early 90s. It should be interesting. I assume I will still like it. I assume Garrett will deny killing those ladies as a boy. It should be a fun week.
God damn it. Alrighty, Timmy, I'm very excited about that. We've put off doing albums that we love or at least like for quite some time, and people have asked for it. What do you do like? Would be cool to do an album you actually enjoy. Well, here we go.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're going to do it.
We'll see. We'll run it through the same lyrical filters we do everything else, and we'll see what we come up with. I'm pretty sure it's about Garrett.
I really didn't see that coming, but now it's quite obvious that that's going to be a bit of a theme next week. Sorry, gang. But for this week, that pretty much is going to wrap it up. As always, you can write into us and we want to hear from you. hatepodmail@gmail.com or go to hatepod.com and click on contact us in the upper left-hand corner. We're, on all the platforms. You found us this time. You can probably find us again. We want to hear from you. Twitter, that's Album HatePod. I'm G Harvey Tweets on Twitter. We're HatePod on Instagram. We've got Discord servers. We've got subreddits. If you want to talk about the show or talk to us and we want to hear from you, it ain't hard to do. Use all them social machines you use all the time. I think that's about it. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Timothy P. Richardson, and on February 20th, 2014, Garrick P. Harvey said, "My horse is going to eat your horse."
I remember that. You're getting wildly far from my actual name, to be clear.
It's the W-I-H-T-A with Wet Dukes and Dr. Garrett Gribbs, the Tinsel Man, autistic vampires, and cowboys and kettle city makers, from scattered daddies lighting up the days.